Hey, and welcome to Urban Legend Crypto. Today I have a special guest, and I'm going to put him on so you guys can meet him.
Hey guys, Magic Zafer, great to be here. Thanks for having me on.
You're welcome, and as always, our boy Brett Jennings in the house.
Wonderful Wednesday.
There's Web3, which is basically brands integrating into crypto. There's a lot happening in the market. You know, people are following quite a bit of the cycles, but they might not be paying attention to the development that's actually happening in the space. So a lot of really interesting things to talk about in this day and age with not just crypto. Crypto is just the expression, right, of the good things that are happening behind the scenes. Like crypto is just the monetary expression of the technology behind the token or the enterprise. So it's super exciting times. I know there's a lot of FUD out there, but this is definitely exciting times.
Crypto facilitates the transfer of value, but Majid is the one that actually creates the value to be transferred. So
9 companies we work with.
9 companies doing all sorts of different things that are in the Web3 space. So these are companies that are actually bring real life utility, whether it be advertising, or blockchain and many other facilities and forms. So he's the one that goes out and kind of connects A to B and gets the projects going and helps people basically convert their Web 2 business over to Web 3. So when you talk about Web 3 and the future of cryptocurrency and anything in that space, yeah, cryptocurrency is there because in a sense it's facilitating a lot of transfer of this value of things that are going out in the space. But Majid is the one that is actually working with companies and forming companies to actually create this value that bring real life utility.
Okay. So so if I got it straight, what you're saying is basically crypto is the expression of what's going on. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, the technology behind it, the utility behind it. Like, what problem are you solving? If that's solving a problem and it's being used at scale, then people will pay for that use, and therefore there will be value attached to that, right? If you have certain things that have no value attached to it, and you just have a bunch of awesome influencers promoting it, that's kind of where people kind of have trouble, and most of those companies will be gone in the next couple of years.
Well, what picture came to mind when you said that, I was thinking, well, crypto is like lingerie, like the lingerie of the thing. So it kind of hides what's underneath, but it looks real good, right? Is that what you're saying?
It's. I wouldn't say it's hidden. It's just people aren't looking at it, right? People are looking at. I call it chasing candlesticks, right? Like you're just taking a look at the action on the market. It's kind of like going to the casino and taking a look at like every bet that happens, right? Like, yes, you could do that, or you could just get on the table and start playing. Look
at cryptocurrency as a market. That's what's making it go up and down. So just like a stock, okay? So you have a company that forms, and the company has stock. Well, these are companies, and in a sense, their stock are digital shares. And the digital shares of that stock, to whether it's help run that company in some shape or form, or just invest in it, is you're basically investing in digital shares of a stock of a company. So just like any other stock of a company that's on the NASDAQ or anything else, it goes up and down, and that's dependent on the market. So if you want to look at the cryptocurrency, I always equate it to digital stock in a company. It's the transfer of value just in a different form. But like anything else, when it hits a secondary market and there's a market for trading on it, people are going to short it, people are going to long it, and everything in between.
All right. You know what? Sounds good to me. Could you tell us a little bit about that hat? I'm just, looking at your hat.
I got this about 3 years ago because I wanted to look young again. So what does everyone think? No, I mean, I don't know. I decided to put it on because
what does RVCA mean?
I don't even know. I just got the hat, I think, at REI.
Okay, all right.
Someplace.
All right. Well, tell us a little bit about Web3. Can you give us some detail? What is Web3 and what, give us a little bit on that.
Yeah, so Web3 is just being used as an expression right now, and it's people are attaching what they're doing and they're adding Web3 to it, and then hopefully they get funding, right? But
in a nutshell, with a lot of them, yeah.
Yeah, but truly what it is, it's the evolution of the internet, right? That's all it is. Web 1 was when it was read only, right? All you could do is read stuff online, right? Back in the day. Web 2 is where you could engage with it. You could do commerce with it, right? Like you could only rent it, right? So Web 3 is where us as individuals will also have an ownership piece in that real estate and be able to participate not just as a consumer, but also as a shareholder in certain instances within the internet. So it's basically, imagine owning a piece of the internet. That's what Web 3 allows you to do.
That's a great way of saying it. It's a piece of owning the internet now. That's a great way of putting it.
Could you give us an example of what you would own on Web3?
Yeah. So let's talk about musicians, right? That's a lot of really great use cases coming out of that industry. Musicians today, the thing that's consistent for all of them is that they all get screwed, in some way, some fashion, and they're only getting pennies on the dollar of what they create, right? Which is, in my eyes, is a bit predatory, right? And since those functions are predatory, it opens up a lot of opportunity. So, for example, musicians today are releasing their songs as NFTs, and those NFTs are giving them, let's say, 70-80% of the royalties, comparatively to only getting 10% of the royalties, which is a lot better deal for them, right? But what they can do is all an NFT is a contract, right? It's a digital contract. You basically get to write the terms of that contract, right? So you could make it as engaging as you want it to be. So what musicians are doing is that anyone that bought this song not only gets access to the music, but there's other perks that come with it. So think of Web 2 as the base layer, and think of Web 3 as all the perks layer, right? So the perks that come with a music NFT, which I personally think will be what brings on the new bull run. I personally think it will be music NFTs, but that's just a thought. But now the artist can actually share royalties with the fan base. So now, for buying that song, not only did you receive the music, but you also got to buy a stock in your favorite musician, which now made your musician a commodity.
So as they become more popular, you can actually
absolutely
make more money off the royalty of owning part of them.
100%.
Like if you would have been able to directly invest in LeBron James when he first came out, and everything that he's done in his career, as his stock, in a sense, as his stock value has gone up, so is the increase in your share. Yeah. So to kind of give people an idea of this market for musicians and music, for every $10 album that is released on the record store, the band gets $1.50.
Yeah, I'll give you an example. There's a guy, Daniel Allen. I never heard of him. But I'm also a parent, so unless it's a Disney song, I really don't know anything outside of that. But there's a platform called Sound XYZ. They hosted his NFT collection. He released, I think, 34,000 albums or so, or basically pieces of that song. He sold out the first minute, right?
Hold on. he sold how many albums?
34. So think of a fractional, it's a fractionalized version, right? But 34,000. It was for like 0.1 ETH.
Okay.
And over a couple of days, he made over $200,000.
So that's from off selling equivalent of 34,000 albums.
Yes, songs, right?
Songs.
Songs, albums, however you want to break
Whatever,
it down.
yeah.
But here's a key metric, right? When you kind of took a look at everything, not even the secondary market, he was averaging about 80 cents per stream. You know what? You know what you have on Spotify or something like that? You know how much a musician makes off of a stream? It's like 0.0000 something.
Wow.
Right? So being able to release music that way, because if you already have a base, you already have people following you, like why do you need a representative telling you what to do stuff anymore? Right? So now if you get the music out that way, you give your fans the ability to get the upside along with you, right? So now if you bought this NFT from this musician and, whose music are you going to play? Because if you were getting, like, if you owned a restaurant, like, where would you suggest your friends and family go to eat, right? At that restaurant. So it creates this whole ecosystem, because now that song doesn't just gives you royalties, but let's say because you hold that song, because you are the owner of that fractionalized piece of that song, let's say that artist has a concert. Now you might be able to get backstage passes. You might be able to get, all different perks and privileges that money can't buy, right? So that type of engagement tool where currently there's a big barrier between brand and consumer, artist and fan. There's usually like the social media groups, there's Google, there's all these layers between a brand and their base. What this does, it completely lifts that barrier, connects base right to brand, and helps them engage in a very meaningful way. So, it is the future. It's what's coming. It's everyone, every big company is at least looking at it, if not.
It's breaking down the barrier of the middleman in so many different businesses. And let's face it, that's what the record company was. And while they weren't only the middleman, they were the man and everything in between. But so think about that. You have an artist who sells 34,000 songs and is able to make a couple $100,000. You have to understand that you would have to sell like a million records.
The number was 50 million streams.
Okay.
To be able to get the same value
there you go.
The 34,000 songs.
Think about that. And for same thing, like you sign a record contract back in the day. You get $1.50 for every $10 sells for that album. And the only real money you made was on tour, and then you had to split all that and all those things. So you didn't even own really the rights to your songs in a sense. So after the album's made, 10 years goes by and that song gets sold to a soundtrack for a film or for a show or whatever it is. You don't get any money as an artist on that, but you've created that because the record company owns the rights to that. So what this is, you are your own rights. You own your own rights. So yeah, there's still costs to doing business. Mm-hmm. But the record company before would say, well, it costs us to put you in a studio. It costs us to promote your album, all those things. And, by our accountant, you only get $1.50 out of $10, which is BS. It didn't cost a record company $8.50 and everything else, including profit, to do. So and there's still cost in doing business. But as the artist, you're able to retain almost all the rights to the royalties on that, besides the cost of doing business. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. And, you're also tapping into a global market.
Yep.
That's what people aren't connecting yet. Because if you think about really big brands, let's say Amazon, right? I mean, we think of Amazon, we think like monster company. But when you really kind of take a look at their global presence, Amazon isn't prevalent in China or India or other places where it's a lot more populated than it is here, right? So market share wise, are they really have global market share? Really, maybe not, right? In some instances, maybe some of their subsidiaries are in there, but what Web3, what blockchain, what this whole ecosystem creates is an interconnected commerce engine that operates globally. Anyone in the world can participate that has a cell phone.
Well, let me sound reasonably intelligent, which is kind of difficult to do.
We love you, Pedro.
So here's what I see. Okay, I'm gonna give you 3 examples. All right, Eminem, the Beatles. What do they got in common? Well, here's what they have in common. Michael Jackson bought out both of them. That's what he did. Eminem pissed off Michael Jackson, and Michael Jackson went ahead and bought all his songs. And then Eminem all of a sudden became very quiet about talking about Michael Jackson, right? And Paul McCartney, right? Try to put one over, try to get real close to Michael, so he can get the money, the funding to buy the Beatles songs. Michael says, screw it, I don't need you. Bought all the Beatles songs.
Yeah.
Right now, Taylor Swift, she got screwed by her first
Record label.
agent,
Yep.
right? Market label agent, right? And so she went ahead and just started her own label and, just stopped singing pretty much all the other songs just to go on, okay? So basically what you have is three artists that don't pretty much own their own music. And their record labels have prostituted them out,
Yep.
okay, in essence.
Let's think about real estate, the industry you guys are in. Real estate, there's over 60 million people that are basically like refugees because they can't prove that they own that piece of land. They can't prove that they own that piece of property. That's a lot of people. You start thinking about the different. It's like
So much that it's equivalent to an $11 trillion market.
Yeah,
Of land that people can't prove that they own. Where if they could put on blockchain, it would bring $11 trillion of liquidity into the world market.
Yeah, but if you start thinking about real estate and real estate agents, and what value does a real estate agent bring before or after the sale? Not much, right? I mean, maybe you get I really love our agents. They send us stuff during the holidays, and that's cute. It's nice, but it's not top of mind, right? But if every person that they ever sold to becomes part of a digital community that other brands get to market to and give value to, and think about how many agents who've been in the business for like 20 years and they have sold hundreds if not thousands of homes in their career. Well, if that base of 1,000 people were getting all types of value that they currently don't get from their local restaurants, from their local, people who want to participate in that data-rich environment, they're going to get continued value. And who do you think they're going to refer people to?
Think about setting up a networking group of just all your past clients, of them to network with each other.
Yeah, but all digitally and bringing because honestly, most people don't got time to network with other people, especially if they're parents or this or that. But if they were part of like a digital club, think of like a digital book club or something like that, where you get emails, you get notified of events, you get coupons and different things dropped into your mailbox from local vendors, from different things that you personally care about. That that chain of value is what people are going to be able to bring to the market and to their businesses, and it's going to be a game changer. It already is.
You're saying like a Oprah NFT for agents, right?
Yeah, I mean, just
I get it.
Well, we already have it with an association. That's what every association is, and there's 1,200 associations for realtors just in the United States.
Yeah.
So that's exactly what our association is, right? It's a community of all licensed agents. That, I mean, we take an oath for higher standards and all that stuff, but it's a community of licensed agents coming together and all forming together as one. That's what a union is.
Well, I think what he's trying to say is a little bit more profound. And you've got $1 million idea there that you just came out of your ass with. I mean, just
Yeah, it's true, but
it's
those are
just-
Why do you think I work with him, dude?
I know, but let me unpack that a little bit.
Told ya.
Okay, think about that. All right, so here you are, a real estate agent working in the business, a loan officer working in the business, a title officer working in the business, and it's basically a one-time hit. You make money once. Okay. Now, yeah, if they come back to you, but how many times will they come back to you? Maybe 2, maybe 3 times in their lifetime to buy a house or to sell a house or whatever. Some more, most less, right? But watch this. If you could set up an NFT, right, that would provide value to them, like you're saying, for the rest of their life, if they continually go back to that little community, okay, that the agent would feed, if you would, then they could get, like you're saying, discounts here, there.
Think of like the MasterCard of real estate.
Right. Now, how would you design all that? That's the structure would be interesting. But think about this. How many agents would pay money for the design of that particular NFT and the maintenance thereof of the NFT monthly? So like right now, there's newsletters you can buy as a real estate agent.
All they have to
right?
do is insert their CRM into the NFT.
Well, here,
Well, no,
right?
Well, that's the base. I think what he's saying is bring in the local
digital strategy as well.
The local community into the NFT, so that way, if you belong to it, then you all of a sudden have like a little card or something with the NFT. And let's say the agent has, or the community, or the guy that puts all this together, sets it up with all of the movie theaters, right? And these NFTs for real estate agents, just make it simple. This NFT for real estate agent, if you belong here, you get a 20% discount all across the board for Regal, just to use a name, right? So here, you and I, right, we buy that, right? And then we start giving it to our clients. But then the guy that did the idea, right, did it in mass. What is it? How many agents nationwide? Like 50, 100,000?
How many agents nationwide?
Yeah.
Like 1.2 million.
All right,
Dude.
there you go. So let's say 1.2 million, and you turn around and you give everyone, like, when you were a kid, did you ever have to sell those coupons?
Oh, yeah.
Right?
That's what I'm saying. It's a digital coupon book is what you're talking about. Yeah.
So you do that, but with an NFT, and then you give that out to your clients. They turn around and they swipe wherever they go, right?
On their phone, and he gives them a discount.
Yeah. And then us as agents, we support a monthly fee to them so they can stay in business. Let's call it $10-20 a month for like 100, and then it goes up from there, right? What a freaking brilliant idea.
Well, think about it this way too. That's just step 1, right? Step 2 is allowing your clients to actually sell it into the open market. So let's say you have your Genesis card or your Realtor
Pedro
One card,
How
right?
about
Whatever.
just Pedro? That's it.
Pedro
Pedro
card.
Go
Vote for Pedro.
Card, yeah.
I have that T-shirt actually from Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah, I love
Pedro
love
for
that
president.
movie.
I told him he should wear that shirt. Pedro
I'm
for
going
president.
to. I'm voting Pedro shit. I'm doing it. Go ahead.
That should be your daily.
I'm telling you, man.
That's the first layer, but that you could always what's called airdropped or gift them another digital asset, right? So those mini digital assets, right? They could then go ahead. Maybe they're not into movies. They don't really give a shit, right? But they would like to sell it and trade it for something else, right? Think of like its own perks marketplace. So now they could go ahead and start selling those into the open marketplace, and every time it's bought and sold, the original realtor that created that whole ecosystem makes a cut.
5% royalty.
Well, what if we can drop meme coins into those.
You could do anything.
You know,
you could
into
drop
those NFTs. So
anything you want to do.
That way they could hold on to
Yeah,
theirs,
say, like,
and they
your-
continually get
anything you want to do,
something of value,
Yeah.
and they can sell those things
Absolutely.
as opposed to selling their cards.
So, like,
you know,
every
whatever.
year when you do your gift, right, you could pick your favorite, digital asset, and you could give that as a gift to all your clients. And now, if those become the next Pepe coin or Dogecoin, or, like, I'm just bringing up meme coins,
Shiba Inu.
any of those, like, they're excited. And if they goes to shit, they don't care because they would have consumed that present anyways, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So it's basically,
Told you, man.
you're gonna have client communities and companies that don't have that. It'll be like not having a website. And, like, the things that I'm talking about today, you could put together in less than 30 days.
Wow. So let's do it.
See,
Let's
you
do
and
it
I
now.
are all
Let's do
about
that.
Web3 and blockchain, but we're so focused on real estate and just like brick and mortar real estate and what you can do with it that he brought a whole nother idea to real estate that you and I didn't even think about. And he just came with it on the spot because he's not a realtor, right? He's looking at the space overall and all angles of it instead of just like focused on one aspect of what you can do in that industry. That's why I bring him in, man. I mean,
Love you too.
I call him Eminem, man. Magic Majid.
You want to give him a wet kiss real quick? I mean,
Real quick.
The blockchain. All right, let's go back there. All right. Yeah. So the real estate side and all that is too complex right now to be able to push it, especially with people. That's like the one touchy area where, there's a lot of people making a lot of money, a big living on it. I mean, I think it's coming, but I think we can solve that problem here like we can't solve world hunger here. But that whole idea of doing an NFT that could be marketed to agents so that they can increase their profile, I think that's a freaking unbelievable idea, right?
Because that's a what's in it for me. This. Boom. That's a simple sell.
Yeah, when it comes to blockchain adoption as a whole, what we have to take a look at is it's the lowest hanging fruit, right? Like, are we going to go topple banks today? No, it's not going to happen. We're going to have to find a way to work with them, right? But what's easier than toppling a bank? It's giving somebody a loyalty card. That's pretty easy. Everyone likes loyalty cards. Everyone likes perks. Everyone likes privileges. Everyone likes getting more for something that they're already doing, right? Like, there's nobody who won't, bank accounts too full, so the key is just kind of focusing on the lowest hanging fruit, the easiest forms of adoption, the things that consumers really want, brands really want. It's the win-win-win situations that are going to spur us into, the bigger use cases that we're, in the XRP army for, and the, all the other massive global use cases that we want to see happen. But it starts with,
the path of least resistance.
100%. Yep.
Well, going on that, so you're basically thinking that artists are going to be the ones that will use this. You know what I was watching yesterday? I don't know if you guys know this, but Adobe came up about 5 days ago with this AI that would fix and crop, after you've cropped, it would fix a picture, right? So this guy, I saw his YouTube video yesterday, and he was totally disheveled. I mean, the guy said, "Look, I haven't slept. It's 4:00 in the morning. I am getting this freaking video out, and look what you can do." So I'm sitting there. I was going to click away, swipe right? But then I thought about it. I go, you know what? This could be something for NFTs, whatever. So I'm watching, and what he did was freaking amazing. So basically, to make it simple, he grabbed the picture, and he cut it. He cropped it out, and then he told the AI to configure right now what would have been there. And then he did a side by side. So he cut like part of his hair off, and and part of his arms or whatever. Then he put a side by side, and the AI actually looked better than the original picture. And he was blown away. I mean, he's blown away in this video. So he got me excited watching this guy. I hadn't slept. I was like, whoa. Then he went and he grabbed the one that was the best, to make it really real short, was he grabbed an ocean scene. He took a picture in Puerto Rico right outside of his house. And he showed the picture. He says, this is, and he's a professional photographer, right? And he says, look, this is a great picture. He says, but I don't like that house on the left, all right? Because there's this little house. It looks kind of like a shack with a red tin roof. And he says, that's the only thing wrong with this picture. But I don't like it. So what I want to do is I'm going to have the AI, and he just crops out, right? Circles it out. And he says, I'm going to have the AI fix it. So he does. He hits the button. It comes back, and it's gorgeous. And the guy was freaking out. He goes, how can you pixelate this? How could it be better than what I can do? And he was just going on. And then he goes, let's add a boat. What would happen if we had a boat? A yacht. So then he adds a boat to it. And then that picture was like hanging quality.
But it looked like a real picture in his real picture.
Unbelievable.
Wow.
Then he did one that I liked the best. So there was this picture with this gal. And so the gal was sitting there with, basically lingerie, right? Mm-hmm. And that's kind of the reason I clicked, because she looked good. So, so here he says, put a turtleneck sweater on her, right? And so he crops out where he wants it. Not only did it put a badass turtleneck sweater on her, right? But it gave him 3 options of arm positions. And so he was going through it going, wow, look at this. And he was just freaking out right online. Just going,
too many options.
This is amazing. A professional photographer able to fix through Adobe these pictures. What say you?
Think about how terrifying that is, right? So when you start talking about like deep fakes, and you cannot tell the difference today. Like, can somebody put you in a compromising position?
That's the first thing I thought of, is like some guy saying, like, look, I slept with Taylor Swift last night, and there she is, like naked next to him in bed.
Well,
and it looks real.
Bro, let's be real. For you, that wouldn't be compromising.
I didn't say me. I didn't say me. I said some guy.
Would you guys agree?
Like a guy with a guy situation or something.
Whatever, dude. You wanted some dirt on somebody.
Let's say
or to do whatever.
It's Insta dirt, right? Like you could kick up Insta dirt, and in this cancel culture, right? That
absolutely
we live in today, like
that's a very good point.
People could lose their jobs, people could lose their livelihoods, people could
and it wasn't even true.
All these things. So that's really where blockchain is going to come and solve a lot of issues, right? Mm-hmm. Because blockchain is the hedge to AI in many respects, right? Watermarking certain things. There's a company called Totochrome that's looking to really put some digital encrypted watermarks into different pictures to prove. So basically, there's going to be a blue check mark for every digital print or thing that's out there, because otherwise people are not going to know. Now, people are still going to appreciate things that are not, because it's AI generated. It's beautiful. I mean, shoot, I think my LinkedIn picture is like a AI generated picture, right? So it
must look good.
It's better than I could take a picture.
Why you look like
myself.
A supermodel on there, man? Computer, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, let me just say this quick: is with that AI and a future of knowing what's fake and deep fakes and doing damage or not. I was also watching. Do you know who Caitlin Long is? So Caitlin Long is originally from Wyoming. She went to University of Wyoming, but then went to Harvard grad school. I think Harvard Law School, and then she was on Wall Street for like almost 25 years. And she moved back to Wyoming. She's the first digital crypto bank in the United States, and she's facing all this backlash from the government trying to get things accomplished and all that. So long and short of it is she's high up in the blockchain banking industry, was on Wall Street for like 25 years. She was speaking at the Bitcoin conference, and she said, people were asking her about the deep fakes, and she mentioned a comment about, remember, was it Hashcash?
Yeah.
right? So that was around before Bitcoin. And the whole theory of that was you attached like 1/10 of a penny or half a penny or something like that along with all of your emails. And it was to counter spam email so that you knew what was real for email and what wasn't real. And so she was suggesting, or a possibility at least, is that you have this information, pictures, whatever it is, videos, data that is attached to like a Satoshi or some form, some monetary form that's attached with each one of them. Because with the theory of if it costs you money and a lot of money to do something, you're not going to do it. You know, same reason why if you hack Bitcoin, it's going to cost you trillions of dollars to then have everyone say that, you know, the network doesn't work anymore and now it's worth zero. So kind of like the same premise behind it, which is you're attaching a Satoshi or some form of payment behind what's real and not what's real, and you're able to tell and decipher from that point.
Yeah. You know, here's something to think about. And this is an original thought. I know. Do I even have original thoughts? But this is like some YouTube short guy that, you know, they thought this through, and I'm going to just copy what he said. So if you're listening, brother, it's you, whoever you are. So here it is. What he said was, and it was very interesting. He says, in the future, near future, because of what AI is doing, there's going to be a disclosure on every single one of the political ads. So you know how this ad is approved by Donald Trump, for example, right? It's going to also say, this is a true digital copy approved by Donald Trump. So they're going to say it. So in case something does pop out showing Donald or Biden in a compromising position, and we're not talking about Hunter compromising position, but we're talking about Biden or Trump compromising position, then they can go back to their digital archives. They have official videos out to prove that it wasn't them. However, that is not going to be true, in my opinion. This is original. Through all the malaise that is out there, all these
independent videos,
independents that want to get views, okay, that they could come up with all kinds of crazy thumbnails showing crazy things on there that was generated through an AI that would produce more clicks that wouldn't necessarily be true. I don't know if you guys have done it. I did it last night. Have you ever clicked on a video where you saw the picture and then you just wanted to see what that picture was about? Like, for example, one I did yesterday, the guy put in, it was these forest cam videos where the guys that work in forestry, they have these cameras all through the forest to catch what's going on with wildlife. Well, in this one, they had this guy that kind of looked like a Sasquatch, you know, like a weird hair, weird head, like a pig nose, and, you know, just kind of weird. Look what came out of the forest was basically his thumbnail. And so I'm like, okay, so I'm going fast through this because I'm not interested in him, you know, looking at TMZ, you know, just standing there and, you know, look at this. You know, I hate those guys that just stand there and grab someone else's material and just kind of points at what's going on and does faces. So I just wanted to go to this picture. And I went through the whole dang video, and there was nothing on that picture, right? Hence the reason I'm bringing this up now. Clickbait, but also compromising. So think about it. They put your wife, okay, or your child or your husband in a weird position, you know, doing something that's maybe not very flattering, right? And then they send it to you, right? How is that person going to be able to differentiate? And I think that's where you're going as far as the terrifying thing, you know.
I like the watermark part you're talking about. A watermark as like a base layer of everything that's real and not real. So whenever it gets sent, no matter how it gets transferred throughout the internet in various different ways, it doesn't matter. It either meets that base layer waterproof or it doesn't.
The only thing that will counteract AI is cryptography, right? I mean, that's the only hedge. And there's different forms of cryptography, everything. So that is going to get interwoven into our ecosystem, and that's, I think, things like that will drive adoption for blockchain.
Ladies and gentlemen, now we have the second wonderful, great idea here from us here at Urban Legend Crypto. So the idea
We should just make him a co-host, man.
Yeah, exactly. To come up with a blockchain that is independent from Bitcoin. So what just happened with Bitcoin, where they threw that NFT in there and kind of clogged up the system, right? We already did a podcast on that, so we don't have to go there. But if there's a separate blockchain that is developed just that will handle this type of proofs, and it could be done for politicians, it could be done for people in general. But how big of a blockchain do you need to do?
It probably
everybody?
won't be a blockchain. It'll probably be a protocol that could layer onto can work with any blockchain, right? So it's going to be more like a service that you bring to a blockchain. I mean, there's some great ones. There's a really great startup out of Austin, Tested Web. There's a handful of others that are doing like AI authenticity, right? Kind of telling, I think Tested Web is working on a browser extension where you could see anything that you're viewing, like the score as to likeliness of whether it's AI generated or not, right? There's things to find out if your students are cheating, on there.
What's that website called? I heard about that.
If you can find out if your students are cheating?
Yeah.
No. There's a website, excuse me. There's a website that actually for example, you get ChatGPT, right?
Yep.
And you generate something. You grab that, and instead of quickly put it in on wherever you're going to use, you put it into this other website, and then that shuffles it around. And then there's no way for the AI that's looking for this type of thing that can actually verify and detect if it is or isn't.
Well, I have one of the prompts on ChatGPT, and one of the prompts is basically all you do is take the link from someone else's article and put it in there, and the prompt's set up so that it rewards everything to not only outbeat their article, but it's completely plagiarism free, and it's the highest for SEO search words in it as well. It does it automatically, and it's all plagiarism free. So even if you try typing it into something like that, it would come up plagiarism free.
Well, I got a question for you. What if that idea went out and it is done through an AI? But I am guessing, and I don't know, but I'm guessing that everything that an AI does generate is saved in a master, like one of these.
Yeah, I mean,
what are those big
even when you go
computers
to
the
server,
the
quantum computers.
In a quantum computer, so it would be very hard for them to verify.
Even when you go to, like, when I was messing with ChatGPT last night, I put my marketing plan in there, and was revising it through ChatGPT, trying to create a persona. But when I go, I could take a look at all my history. So it shows me, like, hey, on this date, this is what you searched for, right? So,
and you can go in there.
Yeah. So it's absolutely all traceable.
So
but with
if someone
blockchain,
that was where I was going. So if someone wanted to see if you actually created it without ChatGPT, whatever, then they could easily get that information. Well, I don't know how easy it would be, because you'd have to go through.
There's different protocols out there that are kind of working on solutions like that. So that it'll just be an overlay onto, kind of like Lolly or any of these, like, where if you buy something you get extra rewards. There's different overlays like that onto your current browser experience. It'll be the same thing. It'll be an overlay onto your current viewing experience, kind of, and that's, you choose it, right? If you don't care if it's real or not, like, you're just a dopamine junkie, then you don't care. But if those things matter to you, then you'll have that browser extension.
Yeah, there is something to think about here, guys. I mean, when we're all educated, when we were in university, okay, then what would happen is the professors would say, I want you to write a 15-page essay on this topic addressing these issues, and I want it by Tuesday, right? So the students would go to the library back in my day. Now, guys, there is such a thing called a library, and I used to go there. Dewey Decimal System. And
card catalog?
Card catalog.
Kids don't even know what a card catalog is,
they
man.
don't know what Dewey Decimal System
They don't even know what a library is.
Microfiche film.
Right. Yeah, microfiche.
Encyclopedia?
Yeah.
Not Wikipedia.
Actually being able to touch the paper on articles was interesting too. But anyway, so we would go to the library, would spend hours, all right, getting all the information. And basically, what are you really doing? What's the real truth? You are paraphrasing, even though you're giving credit to the authors. But you're basically, you're not inventing anything. Right? Really, you're not. You're just coming up with and regurgitating information. And what is Chat GPT doing? We're going to just say chat from here on out. What is chat doing? All right? They're just getting all that information, disseminating it so that that person can actually present it.
Well, the end goal, let's take, for example, you're back in college. The end goal is to produce a paper that says something. That is accomplishing a point that you're trying to get across or validate or whatever it is. So like you said, back in our day, you have to walk down to the library. You have to go to the card catalog, look up different authors in alphabetical order or books in alphabetical order. Then you'd have to go physically find those books all in random different areas a lot of times. Then you'd have to sit down, go through the books, and then, like you said, paraphrase it. But why? The whole end goal for all that work put into that is to come out with a paper in the end that gives off the information that you want to give off to meet that grade or whatever for that class. So Chat GPT takes all that work instead of having to go to the library, instead of having to go through the card catalog, instead of all those things. And it just does all that work for you so that you can get to your end goal quicker. So is the point that you know how to do work to get your end goal accomplished, or is the point to get the end goal accomplished? It's the same thing I said our last episode with a horse and plow. Like, you have a job to go farm a field. So that's like saying, I'm not going to use a tractor. I'd rather use a horse and plow. Well, a tractor does the same thing. Why? Because the goal is to harvest as many crops as possible. So wouldn't it make sense to use a tractor where you can harvest more crops and be more profitable versus a horse and plow?
Yeah. But let's talk about a student. We're all students, right? All of us. And I think I speak for all of us. Right?
Always learning. Absolutely.
We're all in school worried about one thing, and that's our grade. Period. End of story. We all want the education. All of us, right? We're there, we're paying money, or we're on scholarship. I was on partial scholarship myself. But the problem was that you had a deadline and you needed to get that stuff done. Now, bring in an AI as an assistant. What is the benefit? Well, you don't have to do the work, right? But what is the subtraction?
It's actually, so...
Wait. Let me get to the point. I'll give it right back to you. What do you lose? You know what you lose? You lose your experience of getting the knowledge, the book work that it took to get the knowledge, and you're losing, right? Think about it. You're losing what it is, the reason you went to school with, which is to learn how to learn. So you've stopped that ability in the new students that now, you become a cyborg dependent on AI instead of you having the ability as a student. Now, we're not. That's not true here because we all grew up finding our way, learning the subject, right? Wait. I got to give it back to him. So the point of what I'm trying to get across is that everything is a give and take. So we get a great AI that's going to help us as a civilization get to where we want to go faster. But the problem is that you may lose some of the steps in as far as the education and the learning.
But you gain it in other areas.
You know, like I think every generation goes through that, right? Like back in the day, we had to show our work in math, and calculators was cheating, right? Like if you had a calculator, you were cheating. And now I don't know too many students that could do math without a calculator.
Right.
Right.
Which is the subtraction, what I was saying.
Exactly.
You
So it's the
lose something from...
same piece, but where we're headed is really the accumulation of data and making that data very actionable, right? So in the business world, what's happening right now, there's a group that I just met with. I have a meeting with them today, and they're called advisors. And you as a business could have an advisor, a group of advisors, either dead or alive. And so let's say if you wanted Steve Jobs as an advisor for yourself, you create that persona of Steve Jobs, basically curating all the data that Steve Jobs has ever put out, right? His digital data, and having an AI kind of go through that and then respond to you just like Steve would have, right?
Well, the best DA.
The best DA.
Wow.
By the way,
That's amazing.
I saw that episode on Star Trek, right? It was an episode on Star Trek where the guy had all these advisors. I mean, Hung. What's that one guy, the Attila the Hun? He was there. Lincoln was there.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So, yeah, I think what you're saying
that's crazy,
is
man.
an A that's come back. But what is the detriment on that? What say you?
I mean, you're replacing one skill set for another. So I would say this. So you're telling me that it's bad to work smarter versus harder?
No, I didn't say that.
Well, that's kind of, you're saying, well, you're giving up working hard and the learning process of how to do that. So then if you're not saying that, well, you're giving up working hard and replacing it with working smart, and you're not saying that, then you were, to me, I interpret it as you're saying that a certain skill set that you learn on how to go about to accumulate that knowledge and that data and put it together is lost. And yes, it is lost, but I would say that that skill set is replaced with a whole new skill set.
Well, okay, but wait a minute. You had just mentioned that you're losing the ability to do math with a calculator in your head, right?
Yes.
Okay. What I'm saying is one of the greatest benefits that I got from my education was the ability to walk out from that university with the ability to learn and research. It's truly changed me. So I can research and learn anything I want. I want to learn about crypto. I jump on YouTube University. I jump on anything that has anything online that's crypto, and then I dig deep dive, and I learn it. What I'm saying right now and what I'm proposing is it just like the student lost the ability to be able to do complex math in their head, which is true. Not every student, obviously, especially not the Chinese student, right? But going forward, are we as a society going to lose the ability to really research the information that the AI has garnered through all of man's production, not AI's production? Because AI didn't produce any of that. They're just getting all the information, regurgitating what man did, right? So the question there lies, will our future generations, and I'm sorry to get deep on this thing, but it is, are they going to be stuck in not being able to find truth out for themselves and depending on an AI, trusted or not, to get it?
If you really think about it here, Pedro, if you think about the current information that we all digest, we just think of it as truth, but is it? It was basically written by somebody or someone, and it was...
History is written by the winners.
Yeah, well, history, right? His
it's written
story,
by winners, not the losers.
It's his story. So we're already going through that, right? So it's more... But the information today will be more authenticated. There will be AIs that run rampant like ChatGPT, but there'll also be curated AI where you will have the option as to what to feed it, right? So you could fill it up with your truth, and everyone has their own truth, right? We all have our own perspectives. and we get to feed the AI the perspective that works best for us and our endeavors in our family. And then there will be general ones like the Googles, right? Like, so it's just a recycling of, you know, what's already happened.
Yeah, you know, I see that. And then I'm going to give Brett the last word in 1 second. I'm going to give my word, you gave yours, and I'll give Brett the last one. And basically, here's what I'm trying to say. I like AI, and I like to use it, but I already have the ability to disseminate information. And I'll give you one of the best long-standing examples. I don't believe what I'm being told about the pyramids. I don't believe, and I even as a kid, Tombs for Pharaohs, and I would watch those documentaries and all the stuff that I read. There's no way you could have convinced me.
I believe they were made by aliens or they helped.
Well, there you go. But I didn't. I don't think that. I look at these pyramids, and after bringing all this information, anything I could read about, watch videos, anything I do, it just, to me, the only time that man really gets together to do big projects like colossal projects like that has been historically for one reason, and that's energy production. So in my opinion, I look at that and I disseminated all this information. I came up to that conclusion. I don't care if I'm
What's
right.
your conclusion?
My conclusion, that's my point. I don't care if I'm right or wrong.
What's your conclusion?
My conclusion is they were built to produce energy. End of story. That's why they were there, and it's produced endless amounts of energy, and they were built to last through time.
Is it proven that they can produce energy?
No. That's not where I was going. My proof isn't important right now. It's my own conclusion, right? That's what I'm saying. So all my studies and everything I got, regardless of what AI says, you know, that's it. So the point is that's an example of how I've researched something to come up with a conclusion. Now, Brett, you got the last word, brother.
I would say that people are going to believe what they're going to believe no matter what. I have a really good friend who is probably top 1% intelligence in the world, and he believes the earth is flat. So he, you know, a lot of things like this. He believes that 9/11 didn't happen, a whole bunch of other things. I'm sure as I'm saying this, there's going to be people commenting. But people are going to believe what they're going to believe. But AI is going to be able to bring, or at least have a standard of what real truth is and what real truth isn't down the road, and there'll be a standard barrier on that. Whether you want to believe that and still believe your own facts, you can do that. People believe facts every day that don't exist. But I think that AI is only going to progress us, and this next phase of the internet that just keeps us going, man.
Yeah, perfect, man. This is a great discussion. Thanks for having me, Pedro. This, you know, always good conversing about things that matter.
Right. Well, hey, thanks for being on the show, boys. We had a good time. And thanks for watching Urban Legend Crypto, where it's never boring. Have a great day.